Welcome to The Explainer. I want you to just take a second right now and think about the sheer volume of noise in your life. Seriously, we live in a world that is just packed to the brim with endless notifications, constant opinions, and this nonstop, unavoidable noise. It's absolutely everywhere. Because of that, true silence has become incredibly rare. We're practically swimming in an ocean of sound from the literal second we wake up. But if we look at what philosophers have been saying throughout history, silence isn't just empty space. Actually, it's a profound source of power. So today, we're going to explore why silence might just be the absolute greatest tool you can develop for wisdom, confidence, and true inner peace.
Think about this for a second. What if the strongest person in the room isn't the one talking over everyone else, but the one who knows exactly when to just stay silent? Okay, let's dive into this.
Section 1. The Master's Lake.
Let's look at this classic story. A young guy goes out seeking wisdom from a master, but the master doesn't give him a lecture. Instead, they just sit down by a peaceful lake at sunrise, and the clock starts ticking. 5 minutes go by in total silence, then 10, then 20. Imagine how uncomfortable that feels. The young guy had traveled all this way. He's expecting concrete advice, maybe a secret formula or some profound lesson. Finally, he just snaps. He can't take the quiet anymore and blurts out, "Why aren't you teaching me anything?" And the master just gives this warm smile and says, "I've been teaching you since we arrived." Obviously, the young man is completely confused.
The master then points directly out at the water, and this brilliantly illustrates the whole point. He says, when the water is all disturbed and choppy, you can't see the bottom. But when the water becomes totally still, everything becomes clear.
Then he looks right at the student and delivers this ultimate revelation. Your mind is exactly the same. In that moment, it clicks for the young man. Sometimes silence teaches what words literally never can. You've got to let those mental ripples and disturbances settle before you can actually see what's underneath.
Section 2. Why we fear silence.
Let's be real, we stay perpetually busy. The second there's a quiet moment, what do? We're instantly scrolling social media, putting on music, throwing a video on in the background. But here's the fascinating truth from our sources. We aren't doing all this just because we love constant noise. We're actually using these habits as a shield. It's a frantic defense mechanism against the quiet.
So why do we desperately need a shield? Well, because silence forces us to hear our own thoughts. It makes us face ourselves, completely stripped of all our cozy distractions. And honestly, for most people, looking inward like that is an incredibly intimidating experience.
Section 3. Silence as strength.
Now, this completely shifts our perspective. Let's redefine the concept. Silence is not just the absence of sound. That's a massive misconception. Silence is actually the presence of intense awareness and supreme self-control. It's not empty, and it's definitely not weak. It's the ultimate flex of mental mastery.
Philosophers have literally been saying for centuries that true wisdom begins right where unnecessary words end. When you stop talking, you unlock the incredible power of the pause. In that silence, you suddenly start noticing things that everyone else is missing. You get the mental bandwidth to actively observe people's true emotions. You give yourself the vital space to actually think before you react. And most importantly, you're trying to truly understand the situation instead of just formulating your next rapid-fire response.
Let's put this into a real-world scenario. Picture a heated argument. You've got one person shouting the loudest, losing their temper, just desperate to dominate the space. And then you have the other person, remaining entirely calm, collected, and quiet. The person who can maintain their silence during an intense argument actually holds way more strength than the one yelling. The shouter is completely losing control, while the silent person is retaining all of theirs.
On top of that, silence brilliantly protects your own energy. When you embrace this, you realize, you know what? Not every single opinion out there deserves a response from me. Not every insult requires revenge. Sometimes just walking away in absolute silence is the greatest victory you can achieve. You win the game by simply choosing not to play in the chaos.
Section 4. The 5-minute daily habit. So, the crucial point here is how wonderfully simple it is to apply this. Imagine starting every single day with just 5 minutes of complete, unbroken silence. Step 1. No phone. Seriously, put it in another room. Step 2. No music, no podcasts, absolutely zero distractions. Step 3. Just you and your own thoughts. That's the whole shebang. That's all it takes to start.
Now, as our sources point out, full disclosure, at first this is going to feel really uncomfortable. We just aren't used to hearing our own minds. But if you push through that initial urge to grab your phone, you'll start to notice an incredible transformation. The mental fog lifts, and your mind becomes noticeably clearer. Because of that clarity, your daily decisions become so much wiser. Your emotional state levels out, becoming incredibly calm. And out of all these benefits, the biggest game changer is that you begin to deeply and truly understand yourself. Let's bring this all together. Keep this in your back pocket as you go about your day. The loudest people in the room are usually just seeking attention, but the wisest people? They're seeking understanding. So, the next time your life gets incredibly noisy, and it absolutely will, don't rush to be the first one to speak. Take a breath, sit quietly, and just listen, because sometimes silence says everything words never could. I'm going to leave you with this final profound thought to chew on today. The quieter the mind becomes, the clearer life appears. So, tomorrow morning when you wake up and the world starts screaming for your attention, what will you finally discover about yourself if you just sit and listen?